G'day and welcome back for more Space Engineers Survival. And it's come to that time finally. We are going to build our truck for carrying the butterball around. Some sort of turkey platter or something. For this truck, it's going to have to fit a few fairly restrictive requirements. The main one being, it's carrying something incredibly heavy, and I want it to carry a whole bunch of ore on top of that. So it's going to need to be fairly powerful and very stable. The terrain that we're going to travel across is quite hilly, and we're going to need to be able to rock and roll across that without flipping, and that's going to be particularly difficult given that we are going to be building this in a semi-trailer style of truck. And we'll start with our cockpit at the front, and what I would like to do is have it sort of in front of the very front wheels. We'll lay out a bit of a framework first before we do much else. And how wide can I get away with? If we have... will that be wide enough? I think that might be. Let's try this. We're going to use 5x5 wheels because I want this, as I said, to be stable while moving over that really rough terrain. So we need a double block so that we can place that properly. And I think if we go for, this is the right side, so let's put the 5x5 rights on there. Let's see how wide this ends up being with our wheels on. And we want the 5x5 left. There we go. So that seems like a pretty stable base. It's certainly wider than the butterball, which we can see in the background. And with that built, then we need to build onto our frame the extension for the rear wheels. Now, since this is going to be in a semi-trailer style, what I actually need to do in order to fit the rotors upon which the trailer will connect, I need to leave the center free. So for the rear wheels, what I'm going to do is run out of steel plates. Let's grab a couple. Oh, didn't need to do that. Let's grab a couple more of those. What I need to do is leave a bit of space between here for those rotors. And because of our rough terrain, we're going to need the trailer to be able to move in basically every direction. It's not only going to have to swing around side to side, because we'll be traveling over hills, it needs to move up and down as well, and it'll also need to roll a little bit in case the trailer remains on a bit of a slope and the front isn't. So if we extend that back that way, let's have a look at where we might fit 2 more wheels on this. About there might be okay. How does that look? Yeah, probably enough of a gap. And then for these 5x5s, we need to leave at least 4 blocks, and I somehow managed to line that up numbers wise absolutely perfectly. Oh, rats. Had to be in the way of the wheel, didn't I? Let's just grind this off and place it again rather than trying to get into a console. You can just click add wheel to get the wheel on there, but since I would have to build something in order to interact with the block to do that, it just seemed easier to do it this way. So that's going to be the front of our truck. It'll have 6 wheels. Hopefully that'll be enough to get it over most things, but I've got a plan in mind for if there are any slopes too steep, particularly once we load this thing up with ore from multiple loads with the butterball. So we'll go back to the same distance on this side. There we go. No, is that right? Let's just join this up because I keep looking at that and thinking I'm wrong. Nope, I'm right. Good. Cool. Let's get our right... Oh, not a large cargo container. Let's get our right-sided wheels. And you guys may have noticed I set up my hotbar ahead of time. I thought that would be nice so that we don't have to go through that drill. You guys know what the blocks are. Alright, that's our rough shape. Now, for the hinge attachment, for the hitch, I should say hitch, not hinge, we probably want it to be somewhere in around where these wheels attach, probably somewhere about this point. And unfortunately, I don't think we can use an advanced rotor for this. It's quite large and it'd be a very bulky hitch mechanism in order to get cargo onto the front of the truck rather than just remaining on the trailer. So sadly, I'm actually going to stick with the small rotors for this build for that reason, that I just don't want to take up all that space. And what we need to do is we're going to attach a rotor for this roll motion first. Then on that, we are going to place, let's actually use one of you. One like that, and a block like that. Oh. Well, this is going to make things fun. I am going to need to, before I build the trailer, get some power on this. Otherwise, the rotors are not going to behave in a way that is helpful. So from that rotor, we're going to then go to a rotor in this direction. And then we're going to use some... Have I got... No, I don't. I want to use blast doors for this. I'm not sure that I'll need them to not run into that block there, but just in case, I'm going to use a blast door corner on there. Like so. Okay, it did not like that. Let's change this up. Oops. Before we build these rotors, let's put a battery on this thing. And I think we could fairly safely put a battery here. Yeah, we'll put one battery there. And we may, depending on how the rest of the trailer goes together, be able to fit another one on here, or we'll just pack a few batteries onto the trailer and just have the front with the single battery. So we'll weld this up, and my main reason for this is something you'll see shortly, which is if I've got power to... Uh-oh. No! I'm out of silicon. Oh, rats. I'm going to have to go mine some silicon. Dang it. Alright. Well, as I was saying, before I rudely interrupted myself, we're going to need power for the rotors to stop spinning wildly while I try and do this build. And I do need the rotors to be static. It's going to make this a lot easier. I'll be back shortly after I take the butterball out for a spin so that we can get some silicon. And this is going to be a very slow flight because it's nighttime and I really don't want to crash this. Oh dear. We can see though, while we fly past, that the butterball will fit very nicely between these wheels. And if I can get it nice and low enough, the center of mass should sit quite well, and hopefully this truck will be quite stable. So where's our silicon? Over this way. Alright, we'll jump back once I've got those power cells ready to go. This approach to the base at night is sort of terrifying. I can vaguely make out the tick there in between my headlights, but I really can't see a lot. I'm having to be incredibly careful. Oh, there's the shiny rock. Oh, okay. I can see the entrance. Good. Thankfully these spotlights are on here. Otherwise I would be in all types of trouble. Alright, we're back with the silicon. Let's get some battery cells. Power cells. Things that make batteries. Now that I'm welding these power cells into the battery, I should probably mention there is another fairly easy way that you can get power onto a build like this. if I built this in a similar way to how we built the sandbags, where I had a rotor attached to the base and built off a small rotor head, that would give me power to the build without having to construct the battery first. And that is possibly a better option here, but I'd already started this and I'm pretty confident that's where the battery's going to go, so it should be okay. But now that we've got that, it means that we can get back to building these rotors. And let's make our lives easy, and make sure that the 0 is pointing up, because that'll make it fairly simple to work out which direction I can allow this to turn, because I will want to limit the range of these. And instead of using those slopes, I'm going to use blast door corners to ensure that the edges definitely aren't going to be a problem. Blast door corner onto that. Okay, good to know. Power's not enough. I need to weld the rotor too. Let's try that again. Okay, this one should lock in place this time. Let's put that on there. And then we'll put another one this way. And that'll allow us to attach our rotor in this direction. And again, let's make sure. So that says 270, that says 0. Probably doesn't matter, I could probably work it out anyway. But, oh well. And we could possibly even place this. No, let's create a bit more room. Rather than squishing this all up, let's use another pair of corner pieces like this. Actually, we probably just need the one. Let's go with rotor on there. Oh! Splitsie, what are you doing? Gah! Alright. Let's fix this another way because I'm just getting annoyed at myself. So we can use our build info mod and we can set our velocity. Wrong way. Let's get this round until it is level. When I'm fiddling around with rotors, I absolutely love the build info mod. It is so valuable in this setting because it allows you to control things directly and see the effect immediately. And weld that head. Let me weld the head. There. Oh, I don't have enough parts. Okay, so our hitch mechanism is pretty well built. It might be a little far forward, to be honest, though. I think it still should be okay. What we're going to do is, on top of this one, we're going to place... Yeah, that'll be fine. On top of that rotor, we'll start building our trailer. And I prefer building this trailer while it's already attached, because I think it makes it a lot easier to do. And now, I probably want this next part of the hitch to actually be higher than these surrounding parts so that it can swing over them as the truck turns. I don't think it needs to get over the wheels, but it should clear the rest of it. So instead of placing that there, what I'm going to do is continue this kind of... I'm not really sure how to describe this shape. But basically continue this sloped bit, and then on top of that we can place our actual start for our trailer. Since that should be high enough, yeah, it'll be comfortably high enough to clear it all. Then bring this back, and probably need to go maybe... That should be far enough. And then we've got to drop down. We need to drop down because we want to get the center of mass of this trailer as low as possible. And I need to drop down quickly because I want the trailer not to be too terribly long. Although maybe that is too short still. Maybe we'll add another 4 blocks here. There may be further adjustments we have to do to this shape later so that we can build it all as I hope to. With the trailer, I want to make its width the same as the rest of the truck. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks out from the center. So this is one too many. And then we'll have a single pair of wheels a fair way back. Let's bring the butterball in so that I can get a bit of an idea of scale, as this will help. And I've thought about this. With the connector being toward the front of the butterball, I'm actually going to have it ride on the truck backwards, so that the connector is forced down right over the trailer's wheels. I want to place this above here, even though I'm using up energy to do it, so that I can get the connector positioned right as well. So we'll come back a few more. Let's place down our wheel. This will be our left 5x5. This is all going to get very heavy for that rotor soon, and I will have to weld it up at that point, I suspect. Otherwise it's all going to fall apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's all very bouncy now. That's about right. Let's place on our right wheel. And there we go. Yeah. And that is where it was too strong for the rotor. Fortunately, these rotors don't actually have to provide any force themselves. This is all going to be passive movement on them. If we have a look at this truck from the side now, you'll see what is going to happen. We're going to need to later add some pistons to this trailer so that it can stay upright on its own, but for now, it's going to stay hitched to the truck, so it should be okay. The truck is starting to take a little bit of shape. We've got our front, we've got our trailer starting to fit, and what I would really like to do is make sure we've got our connector really, really low down here. And that's going to mean placing it like this. So that should be able to bring everything down as low as it possibly can be. Unfortunately, that means the connector is potentially exposed to any bumps that I might hit. So I'm just going to have to keep that in mind and be careful. Which could end up spectacularly badly. What I will do though is I'm going to put armor blocks all the way across, so at least I've got something that might get hit first. Even though I would like the extra bit of clearance. Oh, I can give myself a tiny bit of extra clearance. Let's do this. Let's use our light armor slopes here, and then we'll use slabs in the middle. That'll give us that tiny bit of extra clearance, but still provide a small degree of protection to our connector. Gives a little bit of extra clearance, half a block. It's something. Now that all of that is done, I'm going to weld up the wheels so that we can drop this off its suspension and we can start fiddling around with our rotor settings and then think about what else this needs to have on it in order to function properly. So let's get welding. Okay, time to disconnect from our little scaffold up here. There we go. Now, we can hop in and we can set up these rotors. I like to do this and name them in sequence, and that helps with deciding the angles. Now, let's just check out which rotor is which, and we can use our build info mod for this. If I left click over this one, we'll see that it is rotor 1. This one, hopefully, is rotor 2. No, it's rotor 3. Okay, so I got 2 and 3 mixed up. That's fine. So rotors 1 and 3 shouldn't have much range of motion. Range of motion? Range of motion. So let's give them a lower limit of -10 and an upper limit of 10. So it's only got 20 degrees range of motion. I still said motion. I'm going to stick with it now. And the rotor 3 should probably be about the same. So let's make it -10 and make this 10. Now, for both of these, let's turn them off so that they can freely spin about since we have no braking torque. I could leave them on and turn down my torque, but I have a reason not to do that, and that relates to when we want to disconnect from our trailer, we'd want to turn the rotors on so they don't freely flop about, and that'll make it much easier for reconnecting to that trailer or connecting to a different trailer. Rotor 2, let's toggle off and let's have a look. What? Oh, it's really dark. Let's change that. That's just way too dark for us to figure this out. I wanted to actually be able to see what's going on here. So let's pop a temporary light on there, temporary light on there, temporary light on there, and a temporary light on there. We will almost certainly be getting rid of these later. I just need to be able to see what I'm doing. Rather than guessing how far I can rotate these around, let's grind this away so it's not in our way. So rather than guessing, I'm going to drive this, and let's make those lights nice and broad. There we go. I'm going to drive this so that we can figure out what angle it can safely get to. And it looks like, with its current setup, we could easily have it going to this angle, because I've actually made it so it does clear the wheels, which is quite handy, because that means we should have a fairly tight turning circle. And what angle is rotor 2 at? That is an unhelpful angle, rotor 2. Let's see what happens when we go back. I think if we go this way, and then we turn right again, it'll probably go into negative readings. Nope. Let's start on this side then. I always get very confused when I'm up near the 300-degree range. So, we've got rotor 2. Current angle is 38, and if I turn it further, it goes to 58. So our upper limit is going to be 60. And then we'll turn all the way through 0. And this is where you will probably become glad you've never seen me play Euro Truck Simulator. Man, that game's fun. Aha! Now it happened. See, now it's gone into negative. And that makes everything a lot easier, because then we can just do positive 60 to negative 60. And my brain doesn't hurt trying to figure out how I set an upper limit to how I set the lower limit to a higher value than the upper limit. My brain was hurting trying to work that one out, but it's all working now. So now if I try and turn this further, it's going to stop it, which is good because we want to retain some degree of control. The other thing I'm going to do is, like a real world semi-trailer, I am going to take steering off these wheels. These ones on the back don't really matter, but what we need to do for them is give them a lot of suspension strength. They're going to be carrying a lot of weight. So let's start with 25%. It's going to keep them nice and stiff. These wheels, what we're going to want is for them to have a lot of power. So let's give them 80. And let's even push their friction up a little bit to 65. The reason I want that is I want them to be very, very strong. And I don't want this thing to move fast. At least not on purpose. And now, there we go. Now we're trucking. Yeah. This has worked out much better than I'd anticipated. So it should have a nice stable base for me to work from. And what we need to do with this now is make it into a proper carrier. So it's going to need to have some good cargo storage. And I think we can use this area up the front here for the cargo storage. On the back here will be where the... that's our ugly duckling. I mean, the ugly duckling could be carried on this. The butterball, where it'll be carried. So with our connector there. Let's actually attach the butterball so I've got a confirmation that it's actually all going to work. Back it up. Alright, here we go. Now we're going to need to turn our thrusters off as soon as we lock, because otherwise we're going to end up taking off. So we turn that off. And there we go. We have the butterball on a truck. Now if it weren't night out, I might actually be tempted to take this out for a test drive. But with it being night, there's not a chance on earth that is going to happen. I am not silly enough to do that. Looking at the front of this truck, I'm not sold on where this cockpit is. I'm kind of tempted, and I just noticed something happen that's not so great. This battery is now out of power, because the butterball just stole it all. Oh well. We'll probably be okay with that, because I think I should be able to drive using the butterball's power anyway. So even if it steals all the power from this, it should be fine. And you can see, we can drive. I'm not going to drive far, but we can drive. I think we might actually even put this cockpit up on top of that battery. Yeah. That might work well. Let's do it. I'm going to move the cockpit. Alright, new position for the cockpit. Right up high. Part of the reason I thought this might be a good idea is, one, having it down low here, I was going to be very close to the ground, and I wanted to give a bit of extra clearance underneath or between these wheels at the front. I know we don't have it on the trailer, but I'd like to add some at the front anyway. And what we're going to do for that is place some slopes under here. And on this side. Then we might even do a little bit of something else as well, which if I'm going to do that, I need to add these blocks in so I can grind out some stuff. Although that was silly. So what we're going to do is similar to the trailer at the back, we're going to use these slopes. And then we'll use some half block slabs in there. And then we'll do the same on the front. Uh-oh. Oh. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, what have I done? Oh, I broke it. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. How clever do we want to be about getting this back where it should be? Oh no. All right. I'm going to fix this mistake properly. Let's do it. All right. Merge block time. Let's have some fun with merge blocks, and the ugly duckling, you are coming back into service because I need your help. Where are merge blocks? Let's just search. Ay. Right. So we'll put one there. And if that's at the same height as that, we need the one on here to be up. So that one's in line with there. So I want this merge block to go here, I think. I think that's right. Got 1, 2, and then the bottom. 1, 2, and then the bottom. That one's lined up with the axle, and that one's lined up just behind. Now the other thing we may need to do is grab a couple of blocks across here and grind off these centerpieces so they don't get in the way. Or, well, also so they don't explode when I connect the rest of it to this. Ah! Stop being so careless with your grinder! I think there needs to be a grinder license, like a pen license in primary school. Alright. Let's give this a go. Need a couple of extra components, and then we need the ugly duckling. Alright, my precious. Let's do this thing. Ugly duckling to the rescue. Let's tilt a little bit so that we can hover relatively level when we lift this up. Okay, where... Oh, no, I want to connect to the cockpit, not to the merge block. And that should be it. Let's lift. Okay, here we go. Is the ugly duckling going to be able to fix this for us? I reckon she will. Ooh. Help if I lined it up this way. Come on. Come on. Why won't you snap? It's there! It's done! Yes! 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 Did I line it up right, or did I stuff it? I did it right! Yeah! Okay. All of that because I ground off one little piece that I really shouldn't have ground off. Oh dear. Oh dear, dear, dear. Thank you again. Thank you again, you perfect little ship. Ugly, but perfect. Okie dokie. With that fixed, let's rely on those merge blocks for a second. Oh no! No, 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 no! No. Oh. Remind me never to build after a night shift again. This was a mistake. Oh. Alright. Let's jump ahead to when I fix this with merge blocks too. Because I am going to. I am not cheating my way out of this. This is my own dumb fault. Okay, let's just park the ugly duckling off to the side here as she may well be needed again. Now that I've got this merge block monstrosity, let's start placing the axle. Uh-oh. No! No. I did it wrong. Oh, you poor little thing. You just had to put up with me derping about and messing that up way too many times, and through all that, you reliably served me, and I still broke your freaking connector. But it's fixed now. It's all good now. It's much better. Alright. Wheel is lined up. Wheel is lined up. Wheel is the right height. And now we can get on to our armor shaping. And it's almost light enough for a test drive too. What perfect timing. It's almost like I did that on purpose. I did not do that on purpose. That was absolutely not on purpose. That was incredibly frustrating for me. I can't believe I stuffed that up so many times. Hopefully it's funny in editing. Alright, so what I was trying to do before was this. We're going to have 1, 2, let's do this side, connect it up first. Half slabs. Da, 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 da. And this is a prime example of why it pays to have multiple connection points for everything on your vehicles. It can become quite difficult to get things reconnected if you accidentally grind off the wrong piece and that's the only piece holding stuff in place. As I just proved. It is doable though. You can fix those mistakes if you make them. You just have to have a lot of patience, and some of you might get this reference. Sometimes you just need one more piston. But yeah. In this case, I just needed an ugly duckling. Probably don't need that to be a full block. Let's make this a slope. Like so. Alright, once we put these on both sides, that's when I want to decide how we're going to do the next thing. Because the next thing is kind of cool. Let's bring this through here. And we can grind that. Okay, and I think... Yep, we're all still connected. I can do this. 1, 2, 3. And we can place another battery in there. So we'll have 2 batteries on the front. May even be able to squeeze another one in here later. But what I do want to squeeze onto the front here is a pair of these bad boys. The hills we have to climb are very steep, and I do not for a second believe that these 6 wheels will provide enough force to drive us up the hill. And unfortunately, I have not worked out a way to use the wheels on the trailer, because they're connected via rotor, to add extra power to give us some extra oomph to get up the hill. So these thrusters seem like a great idea. Plus, jet-powered truck. Who doesn't want that? And I think what we could do is maybe place them like this. If we just pop 2 blocks there, 2 blocks there, then we should... That's not how I meant that. This should work forward like that. Yeah, maybe. Give us more clearance for the force. So that's what you're going to see from the front. 2 big jet thrusters, and the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give us some braking thrusters in case we need them as well. And I will tuck them in. Maybe we'll do the armor first. So maybe I'll tuck them up top, but I could probably even tuck them in on the side here. 1 there. And 1 there. And I'll leave them there just for the moment so that I remember to put them on there. Even just a pair of thrusters like this will help us brake when we get a little out of control, so much more than the wheels would be able to, which would be incredibly useful. Alright. Let's get control of all of our wheels back. What have we got? These ones. We want them... Let's put our strength up to... Let's try 20. I think that'll be about right. We are going to be lifting a lot of weight with these things, so I do want it to be fairly strong. And that's probably all we'll get done this episode. Next episode, I'm going to work on a bit more of the design in terms of how we're going to get some big cargo storage on here. And my thoughts were to place a few of these bad boys on there. Some large cargo containers. Each one of these holds a similar amount in terms of volume. If we have a look here, where are we? Our medium cargo containers hold 10,125 litres. And these, if we just place one, we might be able to see. If I hop in here. These hold 46,000. So 4 times as much, which means each pair of those will hold as much cargo as the butterball has on it in total, if we ignore the drills. So if I have 4 of these, that's 4 trips I don't have to make home, which should be enough. I don't think I want it centered though. Let's take this out for a little test drive. Although, maybe we should build the braking thrusters first. Let's do that first. Let's build these, and then we'll take it out for a test drive. I finished last episode saying something along the lines of safety first, and I'm going to say the same again here. I want these on here because, I don't trust myself to drive this thing. Alright, these are going to be called braking thrusters. Save, don't need to show block in terminal. What we do want is to put these braking thrusters on our hotbar with a toggle on and off. Right now we'll toggle them off. Let's go to a third person view so we can actually see what we're doing. And let's drive this thing out. Oh yeah. So the first demonstration of why I wanted 3 rotors is about to come up. If you see, the front vehicle is now tilted sideways, and I've probably got the suspension set too strong for what it needs right now, so let's drop them back. I might even do this. Let's create these as a what wheel group? Driving wheels. Save. Let's add driving wheels to increase strength and decrease strength. So until we sink in a little bit, that way all of our wheels should stay sticking. And then you can see that our trailer tips at a different angle to us, which is fine, that's what we wanted. And now you can see that it's angled at the middle, which again is fine. As long as I don't turn too tightly on a incline like this, the trailer should clear the rear part of the lead of the truck. And look at that! Look at that! We got a working truck! Oh yeah. That is awesome. Alright, let's see if we can manage this 3-point turn well enough to be able to get back into the hangar. Come on. Come on. Let's turn and turn. Uh-oh. There we go. Phew. Just cleared it. My rear wheel then just got stuck on the trailer. And there we go. We have a semi-trailer truck thing for carrying the butterball around, and it works. It is properly functional. As long as I'm careful while driving, this thing has a definite future. Next time, we are going to, as I said, add our cargo, and we're going to add some style to this, and probably weld up more than a few of the blocks. And I am definitely not going to spend half an hour, and yes, I really did spend half an hour, trying to fix my error with grinding a section off unintentionally. There's that, and plenty more to come. So I'll see you then.